It looks like we're live, I believe. So, welcome everyone to the Global Summit One Ocean panel today. We certainly want to thank the organizers and the sponsors and the volunteers and the support people and everyone that's here to speak today. And of course, you are the most important thing because you're here to learn today and share with us in how we can all become one team for one ocean and find our spot in the big mess that we've made over the last 60, 70, 100 years, depending on whose science you want to believe. And today, you're going to meet some amazing people who've taken their careers that in many cases had nothing to do with the ocean, certainly mine didn't, and now turned it into their passion projects and are doing everything they possibly can to rally us to do something for our panel. For those of you who may not have taken the time to glance at this stuff. So I'm George Cummings, and I'm one of the SDG 14 Ocean Ambassadors. In 2017, the United Nations had a call for action, and NGOs were given an opportunity to send 5 representatives to join the UN Ocean Team. And because I've been working with Sylvia Earle for many years, I ended up being part of the pick. We actually got to send 10, but such an honor to be up there. And so that's what's put me on the Sustainable Goal number 14 team, and has even led to doing things like moderating today, but I also advise about 9 different NGOs, several coastal communities and islands on sort of what's going on in the SDG world. I try to be the eyes, the ears, and the mind of the ocean and listen what's going on at the UN, and take that to the communities and NGOs that are working on it, hear what they need, take it back to the UN. So I'm the go-between, but I put my ocean hat on and I try to be the ocean. So that's about me, but this is really not about me. This is about the ocean and all of us. But we have some great people here. We have Jose won the toss. Jose is a finance guy with lots of stuff. Jose, you want to make a little quick statement to the audience? Take your mute off.
Thank you very much, George. Thank you, everybody, for joining today. I'm very excited to share with all of you my journey from a background in finance, banking, to a new journey into sustainability. I'll be very happy to share my experience briefly. Thank you, George.
Great, great. And we have an Olympian with us today. And please, we welcome you to the panel. Let's let you welcome the audience.
Thank you. Hello, thank you. Thank you, George. My name is Ai Futaki. I'm calling from Japan. And I'm so excited, thrilled to have this time with you guys all together. Thank you.
The Olympian spirit, and she's a World Guinness record too. So, I'm so honored to have her on the panel today. And Umbretta, our Italian artist, and who's established her nonprofit art sale. You would like to welcome the audience for us, Umbretta?
Absolutely. Thank you, George, and huge thanks to the Global Summit for having me tonight. Yes, my name is Umbretta. I am a contemporary art curator by trade and an ocean warrior by passion, and I run a residency project called Art Sale, for which we'll be talking more later, that connects artists and scientists addressing the climate crisis and how it's impacting the waterways around South Florida.
Great, thanks, Umbretta. And last but certainly not least, our favorite, because she's our Gen X, our Gen Z, to represent. We kind of have I'm going to call it 7 decades down to about 7 decades down to 2 decades here range. So we have Hong Kong and Japan and Italian and Florida and Texas. So we have different age groups and sexes and cultures and all this, but we have Delaney Reynolds, whose her resume for her age does not match. She has done things that so few people would have done in a lifetime at her age. So Delaney, how about welcoming our audience for the younger bunch?
Thank you. Thank you so much, George. And thank you to the Global Summit for having me. I'm very excited to be here. And thank you all for joining us, whether you're from Facebook or watching us through Zoom. We really appreciate you taking the time to come on. So I'm 20 years old and I'm from Miami, Florida. So I live in ground zero for the effects of sea level rise based on climate change. And I'm looking forward to talking about my nonprofit organization and climate activism down here in South Florida.
Yep, and our panel's all gonna come down to stay at Delaney's Island. That's a little tiny island off the Keys that's all solar powered. We're gonna have a reunion there one of these years.
You're all invited.
All right, so super, yeah, it's an off-grid island. I hope she talks a little bit about it, we'll find out. So, just a little bit of housekeeping stuff. We were actually hoping everybody would just put their comments in the Q&A. So try to do that if you're here now. Some people that come in late may not know. We'll check in both places. And we're just going to use text. We won't be turning anybody's video or microphones on in the audience to allow you to do actually a video or audio question. But please, please put in the Q&A box where you're from, why you're here, something like that. We're all going to have a few polls, and we're going to try to keep each poll to like a minute. We want to use our 75 minutes for communication time, but we really do want to know what you're thinking, what you're maybe grasping out of this panel today, and improvements that we can make over time. So let's start off. If we could have Carolina bring up our first poll. And we'll ask our audience to try to quickly vote. We're going to have 3 little questions here, and so a minute each, if you can make your votes quickly. And that poll, there you go. All right. Let's give it a few more seconds and let's, oh, did she take the poll away already? Didn't she? Or maybe if you submit, it goes away? Can you display the poll results for us now, Carolina? Ah. Oh, so that, wow, I would have expected, for some reason, I would have expected more Twitter, Instagrams. How interesting. All right, we can close that, Carolina. Thank you very much. And so now let's move to our first panel question here. Oh, wait, no, we have another poll. Sorry. The next poll, please, Carolina. Yeah, so who is, yeah. All right, so everybody got another 30, 45 seconds. Let's see how that goes. And then we have just one more poll question after that. That's surprising that there weren't more Twitter and Instagrams. All right. Carolina, you want to put up our poll results? Let's see how. Aha. Good. We have lots of people. Ah, that's good though. See, we have a good combination of people who've got some experience. They should have good questions for us and comments. And then we have people that are going to learn a lot today, obviously. So, I mean, if you look at the nose and why it's here today, we have almost half the audience. All right, let's close that, Carolina, and put up our last poll here. Let's see where everybody's from. And there's actually a two-part question here. It's where you're from and where you would probably go and do work, if you could. Okay. Let's have that last results put up, Carolina, and we'll get on with our first, North America, Asia, Central America, Europe. Very global, that's good. And let's see where people want to go work. I haven't looked yet, but I'm gonna guess the Caribbean. Oh, I was wrong. Asia, yeah, that's certainly, anything in the Pacific is gonna have a much different dive than the Caribbean for sure. So thank you everybody for contributing. We learned a lot about each other, a very good wide diversity of panelists and audience. That's great. All right, so here we are again. Jose, you won the toss for question number 1. So this one we're gonna have our panelists give us a 3 minutes, let's say, on their career path. What took them from what they did in the real world to want to do something in the ocean. So let's take it away. Jose, how did you go from high finance to Hong Kong and Rajan Pot? Let's hear.
Thank you, George. Yes, yeah, my name is Jose Luis Sanchez, originally from Mexico City. I have spent the last 12 years here in Hong Kong after working a few years in the US and starting my career working 10 years in Mexico. Pretty much my career was in finance. I worked for a bank, I worked for a development bank, I worked for a few entities in the government of Mexico, regulatory matters, right? And pretty much everything was in roles in strategy, banking, private equity, strategy, a little bit of talent acquisition, coaching. So after probably 15 years trying to search for something more meaningful, 5 years ago, I started working on a few projects within Citibank, like the Green Team and across the industry of finance, trying to find solutions to work together with other banks. And also did a lot of research in terms of ESG, green bonds, green finance. And I started working for NGOs as a volunteer, right? So everything from beach cleaning, research, trying to find where I could fit my skills. So 2 years ago, I took sabbatical from the bank. I spent a few months in Indonesia. And I really wanted to see what was to work hands-on on a project on sustainability. What is this, right? So I think that was one of the key points in my life when I thought, I think we need an urgency to do something, right? So being in Hong Kong, where you can go diving in the Philippines with treasure sharks, and the next day that you're back in Hong Kong, you can see the same shark, and the shark fins being sold in the market for soup. I thought, I mean, I need to do something, right? A lot of these animals coming from Mexico, from Ecuador. So these two things, I think my passion for ocean were very important for me to say, okay, I probably need to do something full time. I need to be much more engaged, not only volunteering a little bit. So I decided to quit my job in February of this year. And yeah, my passion for the ocean, diving, everything related to nature. And little by little, I tried to see how I could apply my skills, my previous life in banking, finance, into this new world, right? I saw that there is a lot to do. There is, I mean, talent is needed in all this area. So I'm very, very excited about these new opportunities. And based on that experience that I had 2 years ago and the 5 years working in different NGOs, and especially Conservation International, were like the key let's say, life changers to take this decision.
Yeah, great. And I'm going to tell you, you are going to be so high in demand. Everybody's not going to be tagging whale sharks and planting coral. Somebody that can work with the NGOs to help them get blue bonds, I'm going to be talking to you, and I bet you there's going to be a lot of other people. So thank you for that. That is really interesting. And again, you're in one of my most favorite spots of Rajampat. So next,
thank you, George.
we have Futaki, our Guinness World Record Olympian, and I just got to share something here. So I go and I love to do school talks. I call them career talks. Somebody came to my school in 4th grade, talked to me. That's how I ended up in chemistry and biochemistry and now doing this stuff. So one of my favorite give back things is to go to schools and talk. I did like 50 in Cozumel last year. And one slide I love to show has a space station on it and Olympic rings. And the story is, if we are in space station Earth, and if we all don't get along here on this planet and work together, we're going to have a real problem, because you try to do something in space and it won't be good for the space station or you. So you have to take care of your neighbors no matter what country they're from. The Olympian attitude, that is our best athletes doing their best performance for countries, competing best. That's what we need. We need a global Olympians for the ocean, giving the best they can, best science minds, best practices, best things. So tell us about being not only a world record holder and an Olympian, but now you're doing amazing things. How did you make that jump from sports to conservation?
Right. Thank you, George. So I started to swimming since I was 3 years old. I don't remember my first time getting into the water, but always I was in the water, and then always I follow my passion. So yeah, first I competed, but I broke my arms. I couldn't go the competitive life. So from there, I started to find my own way. And one point, I wanted to be a director for documentary, because living here in Japan, there are so many things that I didn't really get it. So to be out of the box and to share to Japanese that you can be different. You just have to have your own thought and stuff. So first I wanted to be a director of documentary, but then I got stuck, question what is documentary? Because at the end, it's your point of view. And then when you see from the other side, it might be something else. So when I got to this big wall, I was like, okay, what can I do now? And then I had so many bad things happen. I don't want to share here, but I got depressed. And then I closed myself to my home, and I cut all the communications. But I was 22 years old. And then I was saying to myself after 1 month that I cannot end my life like that. And I got intuition that I have to get back to the water. I don't know why, I don't know where it came from. I got that intuition. And I said to myself, okay, what can I do? Scuba diving. I never done it before. So, okay, when I decide something, I'm quick. And the next week, I was in Honduras because I just started Spanish, so I didn't want to lose my Spanish. And then also Honduras was the cheapest place to learn scuba diving. So I went there. When I went totally underwater, I felt this is my place. This is where I have to be. So that's how I started my scuba diving life. But because with the scuba, when you breathe, there's sound. And when you exhale, there's sound in the bubbles. The animal, they just scared away. So you can stay long and then you can observe stuff. But I couldn't get into their world. And then also when I filmed, it was like observing way of footage, but I wanted to have more interaction. And then by chance, I tried free diving, and then boom, that's it. Because it's the same way to be in the water as whales, as dolphins. So I could be one of them. So I was like, okay, so from here, I will share my message. But I was nobody. I was just a free diver. So just a free diver doing things. It can be just my hobby, but it was more than that. So I was like, okay, I have to do something. I have to get some names so that I can have my voice. That's how I end up doing Guinness World Record. So what I did was the longest distance swim in the cave with one breath. Actually, it was Mexico. So without fins, that was 90 meters, which was the first human in the world. And with fins, which was 100 meters, which was the first woman in the world. So I never interested how deep I can go or how long I can hold, but I did that Guinness because I need a voice. That's why I did it. And then because of that, I could have a chance to talk on TEDx talks and stuff, and that's how all started. And first, yes, I was in the water for me, but then now I feel this is my calling to share the message from underwater. And yeah, that's why what I'm doing now.
That's impressive. You are such a game changer. I know I want to learn a whole lot more about everything you've done. I thank you for sharing. All right, Ambrata, it's our time for our Italiano.
Yes.
So, Ambrato Argo Andrew, who's created an amazing project and stuff. Tell us how you kind of went from paddleboarding and stuff like that was kind of your water connection, but you're way deep into, like I say, nonprofits in the ocean now. So tell us how you made your hyper jump.
Correct. So as I mentioned, I come from the contemporary art world. So I studied in Italy. That's where I'm from. I received an MFA from the University of Siena. And even though I scuba dived and I snorkeled since a very young age, I started doing that in Sardinia where we had a summer house. So I always had a really close connection to the water. But when I moved to New York in my early 20s, I lost that connection. You know, Manhattan is an island, but it's not necessarily an island where you go swimming on a regular basis. So for my 15 years in New York, I completely devoted myself to contemporary art, working mostly with emerging artists. And I felt like I actually lost that connection with the ocean. So about 8 years ago, my husband and I decided to come to Miami, really not thinking we would stay here, but we definitely wanted to have the experience. And this is really when I reconnected to the water. I live on South Beach. I'm literally 2.5 minutes walk, maybe 3 from the beach. I started long distance swimming. I joined a long distance swimming group here. I started diving again. And all of a sudden I rekindled this passion and this connection to the water. And I really found myself again. I realized how much I missed it. And really thought about how could I merge my two passions and my knowledge for the art world and what I had learned throughout my 20-year career as a curator and my passion for the ocean and ocean conservation and really understanding how the climate crisis is impacting the ocean surrounding South Florida, all the waterways, but also obviously on a global scale. So I started thinking about a residency program that would allow artists to come to Miami and really understand Miami from the point of view of the water. So we spend time on the water, on boats, we spend time underwater, snorkeling, diving, and I connect them with scientists that can help them understand the specific issues of how the climate crisis is impacting the waterways surrounding Miami. And the end goal is to allow them to produce artwork that then we can all use, not just to bring awareness to these issues, but also to really move the needle from awareness to climate action. So whether it's in a form of photography or film or a soundscape, the idea is that we can take that work, we can leverage that message, use it to showcase an institution or an educational platform such as this one, so that we can really talk about these issues and connect to a much wider audience.
Perfect. All right. Thank you very much for those insights. And we're going to get some more about your projects in the next round. So, Delaney, unmute yourself. You're up. And
Thank
so
you, George.
Delaney Reynolds, Miami. You hadn't even quite got your career, marine science, right?
Yes.
So you hadn't quite got your career started yet to make a hyper jump. You were in it already through school. And you
Right.
know, if I could turn my clock back, I probably would have done marine science too if I knew this is the way I was going to end up, but that's okay. I did biochemistry and it's all good. So enlighten us how your career, you see your career going, because you're deep in it, marine science, and you've got a lifetime ahead, Angel. Let's hear.
Definitely. So thank you, George. So I am the fourth generation of my family to be born and raised in Miami, Florida. We've been here since 1910. And as I was growing up, I actually split my time between the cosmopolitan city of Miami and a very small 1,000-acre island in the Florida Keys, which George mentioned earlier, called No Name Key. And it's a very special place. It only has 40 homes on it that are all solar powered, and it's in the middle of 2 wildlife refuges. So growing up, I was constantly surrounded by nature, in the ocean, learning about sustainability. And since a very young age, I always knew that I wanted to study marine science in some capacity. So actually, in between elementary and middle school, I ended up writing, illustrating, and publishing 3 children's books on ecology topics that were based on that island in the Florida Keys: habitats, animals, fish, birds, you name it. And as I was researching for these books, I was learning more and more about climate change, and I started to become very worried. I was learning how it was impacting my home in the Keys, the state of Florida in general, the United States, the world, and I decided that I ultimately wanted to write my 4th book on climate change and sea level rise. So what I started to do is I started to interview all sorts of people, scientists, to learn as much of the science as I could, whether university scientists, government scientists. I just wanted to cover it all as best as I could. I started to interview homeowners and business owners so I could learn how they were being impacted and be able to tell their story, share it with the rest of the world so that other people could learn what we're seeing here, what people are going through when it comes to the flooding from sea level rise. And then lastly, I started to interview politicians so I could learn what they were doing in their local communities, if anything, to address climate change, to implement solutions or mitigation tactics. And along the way, I decided that I wanted to take all of this knowledge that I was learning on my own volition and share it with other kids, because I figured that if I wasn't learning this in school at the age of 12, 13, 14, then other children probably weren't either. So what I started to do is compile this information into PowerPoint presentations and lectures, and I started to give them to other students at other schools. And these presentations cover the science of sea level rise and climate change. I use real science from IPCC reports, NASA, the Union of Concerned Scientists, so I don't dumb anything down. I explain it as best as I can. And then I also talk about the impacts. So here in South Florida, we're seeing sea level rise, but I also talk about what different regions are seeing, whether it's wildfires in California or extreme heat waves in other places. So I kind of tailor that depending on who I'm talking to. And then I finish with solutions, most importantly. And so from there, that's kind of how I started my nonprofit, the Sink or Swim Project, which I'll get into a little bit more later.
Perfect. All right. Thanks, everybody. So we kind of got a little more idea. Let's take another poll now. And we got three more questions for our audience. And again, try to keep it to a minute each. So let's find out what sector our audience works in first. So Carolina, there we go. What do they work in? I'm sorry, I forgot, Delaney, that you're an author, published author. It's your age. I mean, I have 3 or 4 books in my mind mentally, but I haven't. I've got the writer's block still. So congratulations to you. All right, let's put up our first poll there. Carolina, results. Oh, nice, good wide mix. Interesting. Lots of business folks. All right, let's close that and put up our next one and see what kind of connection to water and ocean our audience has. And you can check multiple here, by the way, on this one. Yeah, I'm going to be ready to go to Delaney's Island. All right,
nice.
let's put up the results of the second question. See what kind of, lots of swimmers, scuba divers, and some nuns. Wow. They're more connected, aren't they? We all know how connected they are to the ocean. They just don't know yet. It's about 50 to 70% of your oxygen comes from the ocean. You're connected. All right, last poll question for this round. Let's put it up, Carolina. And let's see what kind of knowledge people have about the United Nations 17 Sustainable Goals. Let's see if people are aware of them or not. Woo. Oh, I just got a message. Evidently, our polls are only showing up to the panelists. Are you guys put your hands up if you're seeing the polls, the poll results, Because evidently the results are not. Oh, you know what? Maybe it doesn't go through onto Facebook or something because they're streaming this to Facebook also, so we don't know how many are watching there. Anyway, I don't know if Carolina, you can try to figure out. Let's display our last poll, and I don't know if you'll be able to figure out between how to make everybody to be able to see the polls. Ah, good mixture again. But we've got 24% of the people that we need to help them, point them to the United Nations Sustainable Goals so they can catch up with what literally the 192 voting in a rare incident, occurrence unanimously voted to make the ocean the top priority for the next 10 years, and that's a part of the reason we're here. And part of that is because the reality is our ocean is going south on us really fast to try to solve the problems. We just don't have much time. All right, let's move on to our next question, which you'll be first this time, and now we want to hear about your projects. So you went from Olympian to doing all this stuff, and then now you kind of have your project that you work on, your ocean project. So share that with the audience, how you got involved, dreamed it up, and what you're doing and hope to accomplish.
Okay, so Carolina, please. Okay, so, well, more than 1,000 words, I think that image tells you more stories, I think. So, as I said, I use free diving as a tool to be in the water, to share the oneness, to share the beauty from underwater. And I use free diving because it's the most natural way and then to be same as the underwater creatures so that they can treat me as if like one of them. Next, please. Carolina, next, please. So when I'm in the water, so the water, so the vibration travels 4 times faster in the water than here on the air. So next, please, Carolina. So when I'm in the water, I must be really calm and be in the really the quiet mode. I don't know, somehow always I have problem with the digital. So whenever I want to do something on the computer, something happens. So that what's happening here too, I think. So yes, well, another thing is that well, when I'm free dive, as I have only one breath, so here you go. So yes, I leave my brain on the shore, and then I just like brain on the shore, and then just, you know, feel with the sensitivity in the water. So this one, when you see it, you might say, is this photoshopped? But actually not. As I said, underwater, the vibration travels 4 times faster than here on the air. So if I have a fear, before I realize myself that I have a fear, the shark notice it. And the underwater, the fear is, I'm your food, eat me. So when I'm in the water, or when you're in the water, the fear, you shouldn't have fear. But it doesn't mean that, you know, like you just can't do anything. It's not like that. But the fear is not the solution. And next, please, Carolina. And it's important to be at the moment. And when I go to the water, I always respect to the creature that live, and because it's their home and I'm visiting their home. So it's same as here online. When you visit someone's house, you might knock the door or you call them beforehand. And I think for sure you never get in with the dirty shoes. I do something to the underwater. So when I get in, even though they won't understand what I'm saying, but I introduce myself, and then I get in with respect. And I believe when I respect them and they respect me, and we can have these interactions. And the interaction is not only one way. When you get from them back, it's a true communication. So when you see in this picture, I'm like really dancing with the whale. First, I was like, try to follow what she's doing, but then I realized that, she's, you know, just doing what I'm doing. So when I have this kind of moment, I strongly feel that it doesn't matter if we are human or if you're a different creature, we can have this communication, and we all connect by the ocean, this world. And Karina, next, please. So I have many ways to share underwater. Ones are the ones that you saw the pictures that I'm in the pictures, and the other one is me as a photographer. I take all the pictures by freediving, of course, and then my pictures are more abstract pictures. So I set these two together, and you might wonder what is one or what is another. On the right is actually a jellyfish, and on the left, actually this is a plastic bag.
Mm-hmm.
So when I see underwater plastic bag, it looks so beautiful. So even though I know that this is plastic, it's so tempting. And then I was thinking, if I'm turtle, if I don't know what is plastic, of course we're gonna eat it, because it's so beautiful, it's so tempting, it so look like a jellyfish. So just be with the animals underwater. It's also, you know, like by showing this kind of picture, I also question to people. And my pictures, I don't have titles, because title is like answer. So I just leave it with a title, and I wanted people to wonder what is this, and that will be the good communication startup point. And next, please, Carolina. And a moment like this, when I see the eye of the whale, they always tell me that you have to follow the truth. And I always tell, sorry to be human. I try to do the best what I can do. So yes, my pictures are more like a black and white, so that let them tell you the story. And the next, please. And my message is coexist. We all live together on this planet. And when you talk about the ocean, when you talk about environment, you might think it's something separate from you or separate from your life. But it's not. Without the ocean, we cannot breathe. We cannot have food or clothes or anything. So even though you cannot see, there exist. And then also I want to say that we are part of this planet. We are not the owner of this planet. So through the artwork, through the images I share and those things. And then I would like to open each one's people's heart, because I believe to change something, one must change from the heart, not by thinking. Thank you.
Thank you. I thank you very, very much. That was super. Just those are such impressive images. All right, Umbretta, our Italian again, was going to share with us about art sale and yeah, expand a little bit. I know you started kind of getting into it, but I know there's a lot more to art sale, and art, science, and conservation is kind of sweeping the planet. So tell us how you get creatives involved to follow your kind of your art curating and now your ocean savior.
Absolutely. Thank you, George. So I'm going to ask Carolina also to start my PowerPoint, if we might. Excellent. So as I mentioned earlier, so Art Sale is a residency for artists. So that means that we invite artists to come here to Miami for a period of 4 to 6 weeks. And they're selected in a variety of ways. We had open calls. We have direct invitations. If I know of an artist who's doing a specific project, then I may reach out to him or her and decide to collaborate on the very project. So if we can move to the next one, Carolina. And so our mission, it's fairly simple. So we facilitate the collaboration between artists, not just visual artists, but we're also looking at collaborating with cultural producers at large. So it could be theater directors, could be dancers, could be writers. And we connect them with scientists, with marine experts, with activists, and with responsible businesses. And we help them create artwork that we can all use to leverage our message. And our vision is to move the needle, as I mentioned earlier, from awareness to climate action. So really enable communities not only to understand the problems, but also give them the tools to have a real impact towards solutions. Next, please. So we are a nomadic residency program. So we don't have a brick and mortar venue where we hold our residencies. We have a variety of partners with vessels. The idea, as I mentioned earlier, is really to connect with the water. So we have partners who are like Impossible Dream, for example, on a 60-foot catamaran that have enabled us to use the vessel for our residents. We have access to smaller boats to do shorter expeditions. And we look at interdisciplinary engagement. So again, we integrate the art that our residents bring with science and activism to reflect on the way we live, but also on the policies that have an impact on our lives and on the activities that essentially are guiding us and are guiding us towards what we do and how we behave with our planet. And so the idea is that we can actually influence those policies through what we do with our residencies. And the end goal, as I mentioned, is to facilitate the creation of artwork that we can use, and we use it by disseminating through art institutions, public spaces, as well as the educational platforms such as the one that we're here sharing tonight to really talk about what we do and why we do it. Next, please. So we originated in 2015 thanks to a grant from the Knight Foundation. And that grant enabled us to do our first 3 residencies. The first one was with artists and researchers Marley Coven, who spent about a month here and came to Miami several times afterward to shoot both underwater as well as above water and document how climate change is impacting the coastal area surrounding Miami, but also talking to locals about their own understanding and their own experience of climate change. The second was Blanca de la Torre, a curator and writer. We're now working on a publication with her as a result of her residency. The third artist came in July 2018 and is an artist from the UK based in Berlin, and he created a fantastic series of photographs, some shot in the Everglades and some shot at a futuristic place called the Dome House of Cape Romano on the west coast of Florida. And the most recent project we had was in June 2019, with artist Cecilia Tripp and her sound architect, Kerwin Rowland. And they came to Miami to record sound of marine life around coral ecologies in the Upper Keys and around Miami to create a soundscape called the Quarter Sonata. And we're gonna hear shortly a little bit of what came out of their experience here in Miami. So next, please. So the Quarter Sonata is a full soundscape, and its entirety is about 8 minutes long, and we collaborated with Rescue Reef, which is a citizen science project of the Rosenstiel School of Marine and Atmospheric Science at the University of Miami. And through a series of diving expeditions, a snorkeling expedition, as I mentioned, we recorded sound, and we created a longer piece, which is about 8 minutes long, but we also extrapolated a short ringtone. And if you go click next, Carolina, we'll hear an excerpt of the ringtone. Okay, I'm not sure if you can hear anything. Okay, so never mind. Carolina, let's go back to the PowerPoint. Sorry about that. We have the login information in case you want to hear the soundtrack, and we can put it in the Q&A so you can actually hear it for yourself and download it to hear the sound of climate change. And lastly, next slide, please. These are our partners. ArtSale, it's a very small organization. We cannot do what we do without a vast network of partners. These are some of the ones that we've been working with, vessels, NGOs, or working with Everglades Conservation, with Ocean Conservation. And the last slide, please. And these are my contacts. You can find more information about the individual residencies and their outcomes on our website. We're on Facebook, on Instagram. And if you like what we do, please make a donation. We can always use more support to enable us to do more exciting programs. Thank you so much again for giving me the chance to share what we do.
Thank you very much, Umbretta. So that was very interesting. I've got some notes. I may have a question. All right. So now it's, we're ready for Delaney to talk to us about, you have too many projects for me to try to pick one to ask you about or for you to talk about. So you're going to have to pick your favorite projects, how you've gotten involved, and what you're trying to do, and what you hope to accomplish. Sweetheart, let's hear.
Absolutely. So I'll kind of start where I left off, which was talking about the educational aspect of my nonprofit, the Sink or Swim Project. So a lot of what we do is education with really anyone of any age from any background. So I do presentations about climate change anywhere from kindergarten to middle school, high school, college students, and then adults, of course. And through these presentations, like I was saying, I present the science, the implications, the impacts, as well as the solutions. And so that's kind of one part of the Sink or Swim project. And the other aspect of the Sink or Swim project is political advocacy. So I do a lot of work with local, statewide, federal political leaders to try and implement as many solutions, whether it be funding, mitigation efforts, or something else, to solve our climate change crisis. So some examples of that work locally, I've worked at the city level with the city of South Miami to write and implement a solar power law. So this is the first law of its type in Florida. Yeah, so it's the first law of its type in Florida and the fourth in the United States. And it basically says that any construction of a new house or a material renovation of an existing house has to install the maximum amount of solar power possible on its roof. And while the city of South Miami is a very small city, it's kind of more the idea of it, where if the city of South Miami can create such a law and implement such a law, then any other city in Florida, which is known as the Sunshine State, could also implement such a law. And ultimately, we could reduce our carbon footprint and become very reliant on sustainable energy, which is where we obviously need to go if we want to solve our climate change crisis. And that's something that I did before I was 18 years old. I was 16, 17 at the time, so I didn't even have a vote yet, but I made it known that I had a voice in politics in my community. And another example of that is on the county level. I've worked with Miami-Dade County to implement funding for sea level rise mitigation, and I also work with a sea level rise steering committee within the county government to work on different mitigation tactics, get more funding, and try to plan for the future. And then at the state level, I'm involved with a climate change lawsuit. So 7 of my youth friends and I, we are suing the state of Florida, where we all live, for not upholding their legal duties outlined in a couple of different doctrines that we have here in the state of Florida. So we have the Florida Constitution and the Public Trust Doctrine, which both say that our government officials must protect the state of Florida and our environment, our water, our land, and our atmosphere is what we believe. So basically, through this lawsuit, we are asking them to cut back carbon emissions, make plans, rules, laws, whatever they have to do to cut that back and start to rely more on sustainable energy. So we filed that back in April of 2018, and we actually just had our first hearing last month. So it's been moving pretty slowly. Politics has definitely gotten in the way, no surprise. But I speak on behalf of all of my plaintiffs when I say we're in it for the long haul, and we're very excited to see where it goes next. Thank you, George. Another example, so my federal work, I've worked with former Secretary Hillary Clinton and Vice President Al Gore for an environmental rally. So during the 2016 United States presidential campaign, Secretary Clinton had the only environmental rally of either party during the entire election months that was specifically focused on environmental topics. And I was fortunate enough to be able to introduce both the Secretary and the Vice President, and I've worked with him on other occasions for his release of his latest book and movie, An Inconvenient Sequel, that he recently released a couple of years ago. And I've also worked with the United Nations. So I've actually spoken on behalf of the Everglades National Park, which is a national park here in South Florida, and which is a Marine World Heritage Site. So I spoke on behalf of the park at the United Nations to the General Assembly on World Oceans Day a few years ago.
Wow.
So those are kind of the two different aspects of the Sink or Swim project, the educational aspect and the political advocacy aspect. And that's what makes up my work.
Wow. So I think our audience can now see, remind you, 20 years old. 20 years old. I know I won't be here, but in 50 years, I can't imagine what you're going to be able to do in your 50 years, your next 50 years. And you're on a path to be a junior, another Sylvia Earle.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Right. And yeah, there's just so much other things that I want to learn. I will also just quickly show that I personally I have been working with the Friday for Future kids here in Austin. On Earth Day, I was there on the Capitol steps, and there was about 20 of us that spoke to about 15, 20,000 people that were all standing around there. And then I've gone and been in marches on Cozumel with the Friday for Future for Mexico group that is there in Cozumel. I'm actually mentoring about a half dozen of them. They're now in a special video. There's 4 or 5 of us that are mentoring them on. I had a multimedia company here in Austin, Texas years ago. So we're mentoring them on social media telling, video, interviewing skills and stuff like that. Working with the youth is where it's all at. You know, we're not going to change a bunch of 70-year-olds very far. We're not going to move that needle very far. But we can start at 5 years old, and we can make, and when 20 years later, we have Delaney's. So anyway, honor to you. Now we go to our high finance guy that now he doesn't know. He's going to get more emails and messages from so many people going, help me figure out blue bonds, you know. So maybe you'll be able to do that. But you've been doing, Jose Luis Sanchez, you've been doing sustainable blue economy, ecotourism, and rainforest stuff, I believe. Yeah. And I'm gonna inject one little thing here. In my ocean talks, I always take the time to explain to people. People hear about people doing coral restoration and coral reefs, and they think, oh, that's that thing that's out there in the ocean. Well, a coral reef ecosystem starts at the rainforest. It starts at the highest treetop, and the water that runs down that tree and gets in the stream and picks up whatever it picks up on its way to a river and then to the ocean and stuff like that. So it's that and saltgrass and seagrass and mangroves and kelp and sand and then you get to the corals and you go down to about 300 feet, and that's kind of what they call the bed. It's so dark that most corals don't grow there. That's a coral ecosystem. So honor to you for doing rainforest and ocean, sir. And now tell us how you, again, went from finance and are now in ecotourism and sustainability for the rainforest and the ocean, Jose.
Absolutely. Thank you, George. Just a brief follow-up on my previous participation. Something that was really important on this transition was to be in Hong Kong, right? Here being like the door to China, to the rest of the world. It's kind of like the heart of Asia, right? Connecting China, Southeast Asia, the rest of the world. And I saw this amazing growth from countries like Thailand, Indonesia, India, of course, China. But at the same time, this was coming along with issues like pollution, like not really complying with the SDGs, right? So this was very, very important for me to decide, okay, we need to do something. So this project that I'm working on for the last couple of 3 months, it's a very high level project that is pretty much on the east part of Indonesia. Just to give you an idea, all this area of Indonesia that is called Papua and West Papua, don't get confused with PNG, this is still part of Indonesia, is the 3rd largest forest on earth, right? So before this project, I have no idea about this, but after the Amazon and Congo, this is the 3rd largest forest on earth, and it's still quite pristine. There is untouched unique flora. There are about 600 species of birds, 125 mammals, 250 reptiles, right? This is really paradise, right? So I think if we want to make a change, if we want to make a difference, right, in terms of global change mitigation, has to be here. This is one of the last few places that if we are able to save it, we'll be able to see this world going forward for the next decades, right? So there was a big meeting at the beginning of this year where the local government of Indonesia, the central government, community leaders, investors, it was a very, very high level meeting with about 350 participants. They decided to keep this area pristine, right? So they say, okay, no more deforestation, no more palm oil expansion. Let's use carbon financing as a solution. Because what happened is like, yes, we are trying to save the oceans, we are trying to save the forest many times, but we need to have alternatives, right? There should be something, a trade-off. We cannot just say, let's save this. There should be opportunities for local people, for economies to really find a way to survive. So this big initiative includes a few work streams that go from sustainable agriculture, sustainable fisheries, green investment, ecotourism, that is where I'm involved. So through all these work streams, we are trying to showcase how this is possible. How can we save these 34 million of hectares? So my specific project, what I'm doing at the moment is, okay, let's analyze in this area of Papua and West Papua, what is the current value of ecotourism? The value from a marine perspective, like a land-based perspective, cultural trips, what is this generating in terms of income, in terms of taxes, and more important, in terms of employment? So what is the value, and what can be the value in 15 years if we do this in a sustainable way, right? We don't want to grow and put like massive hotels. No. If it's ecotourism, has to be very small, eco-friendly resorts that they really have conservation projects, right? So my job is to do that projections. And at the end of the day, and I'm working with a few entities from Conservation International, the World Resources Institute, other consultants, and I'm working, my client is a Dutch company that is IDH Sustainable Trade. They do an amazing work in all the agriculture, sustainable agriculture around the world. So we are trying to come with a short list of recommendations for the government, right? To say, okay, from an ecotourism perspective, this is the value, this is the potential value, and this is the regulation that needs to change in order for that to happen, right? So I'm about to finish this white paper along with other consultants, and we really hope that we will be able to achieve like the protection of this area, right? And we are putting at the center of the project the community. What do community need, right? Because sometimes we also forget, oh, they need education. Yes, they need health services, but what exactly do they need? So there is a lot of work to be done with local communities, right? So this is the main project that I've been working on. And the second one is also in the same area. I'm going to tell you the name, write it down, but don't share with your friends. It's Rajampat. That is the most beautiful place for diving, where I created a dive resort association a couple of years ago, where I pretty much put together the biggest resorts in the area to work towards conservation, to avoid illegal fishing, to do recycling, to do all these things that can be impactful to keep Rajampat pristine as it is now. So these are the two main projects, George, that I'm working on.
That is excellent. That is so, and yeah, people have no idea. I mean, people who are scuba divers may look at their scuba magazines and see Rajampat. And hang on, let me kill that timer. Sorry, technology, don't you love it? So, yeah, Rajampat. I actually just see we're going to have a lot to share. I've actually led 3 expeditions to Papua New Guinea, New Britain Island, if you may know because you've been around that area. And yeah, I have some special places that I don't share with people because I know what'll happen. And in reality, that's what's happened to Rajampat. All the photographers went there, took great pictures, and now everybody goes there. So it's a kind of a shame. And I know you know my friends in Missoula, obviously, but great place, great story, great work. Honor to you, sir, for everything you're doing. All right, let's, and we're gonna I'm gonna ask my panel, we're running a little over time, but I think we'll be okay. We're going to go real quickly now. We'll just do one of the poll. Let's put up the, oh, no. Yeah, no, that's right. The last, Jose was the last for this one. Let's just put up the question number 1 from the poll. Carolina, let's just see. And this time I'm going to read them off because we just found out the Facebook people don't get to see the results. So I'm going to read this time. We just discovered that. We're waiting on Carolina, poll number 3. Question 1. There we go. And yeah, so we were asking everybody, have you ever participated in a citizen science project? Yes, no. or thinking about it, I think was the last one. So Carolina, let's put up that the results of that, and then we'll move on. Yeah, so we've got some citizen science out there. We've got some that haven't yet, and we've got some that are planning on it. We want to get all of you involved. There's lots of opportunity. And once you start doing it, you'll meet great, great people. Just the fact that you're here today, it's obvious that this audience cares about the ocean and stuff. And so there are many like-minded souls out there that you can get to know. And it's, if you can't see the excitement of everybody here working with other people that are doing the same thing, you're just kind of missing a little bit of the picture here. All right, so we're going to move on to our next little panel question. We had kind of set 3 minutes. Let's see if everybody can try to keep it really close to 3 minutes here and get back on time a little bit. Umbretta, you're going to be first to really now go into detail about how can people get involved? How do they connect you? Or if they're somewhere else on the planet, what suggestions can you give to them for finding a way to get involved with the ocean somewhere?
Well, I mean, absolutely. I would say, first of all, if anyone is interested in our program specifically, by all means, please email us, tweet at us, connect with us in whichever way you want to do it. I'm always looking for volunteers, always looking for artists who are working on interesting projects, and always open to hear your ideas. But in general, I would say, wherever you are, there are small grassroots initiatives, NGOs that you can get involved. Everybody's always thrilled to have volunteers working with them, whether it's a beach cleanup, whether it's coral restoration, whether it's connecting to with kids in school. So there's really a variety of ways that we can all engage with what we love, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to live by the ocean. I have friends and supporters that are not living by the ocean, that are just enamored by the ocean and the creatures that live in it, and they find a way to support its health and make sure that it stays healthy and able to be lived by many generations to come.
Okay, super. Thanks very much. And Delaney, how did you created them? I'm pretty sure that's what you did, but how can people get involved with you, or what would you recommend to people your age group, how they can find in their part of the planet to find a project and an NGO to get involved with?
So if you want to get involved with the Sink or Swim project, then you can check out our website, which is miamisearise.com, and you can subscribe to my blog where I write about all sorts of things, whether it be politics or recent scientific findings related to climate change or just my opinions on things. So you can check that out. It's also on that website, miamisearise.com. You can also follow us on social media on Instagram and Twitter. We're at Miami Sea Rise, and on Facebook and YouTube, we're the Sink or Swim Project. So you can check us out in all those places, and you can send me an email if you're interested in collaborating in any way. And if you want to get involved with climate change in general, then my suggestion to you would be to follow your passions and to use your voice. No matter how young you are, you have a voice in your community, and you certainly can make a difference. I'm not special by any means in any way. So if I can accomplish some of the things that I've done at 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, then you can absolutely do the same things that I've done and more. So please don't be afraid to put your voice out there. Don't be afraid to reach out to local politicians. Don't be afraid to ask them what they're doing, how they can do more, how you can become involved. And then to also echo Umbretta, also find local nonprofit organizations that you might want to work with, whether it's related to climate change or any other topic that you're passionate about. Just go out there and find your passion, and don't be afraid to use your voice, because you can and you will make a difference.
Wow. Once again, 20 years old. I just can't wait to hear the next 10 or 20 years that I'll be around for, probably. At least I'll make it that. I hope I make it that far. So I can't wait. You're just so impressive, Angel. All right. Jose, how
Yes,
they get involved with you?
Okay, first, before that, I would give a couple of suggestions to the audience that, based on my experience for the last few years doing exactly that, trying to search where can I make an impact, what can I do, and there are plenty of options right there. When I was in Citibank, I found, I mean, very, very structured programs. I mean, it can be everything from beach cleaning, from participating in conferences, raising funds for NGOs. That this is, I mean, money is always needed. I mean, talent is needed in these organizations. So that is also welcome. But do the research and find where you can fit. I mean, something that is very important, and you can see in this panel, is the background, right? So we have an artist, we have an activist, we have a Olympic athlete, right? So it doesn't really matter where you are. There are always opportunities to do a lot of stuff, right? Probably 5-6 years ago, I never thought I could fit into here, but there is a lot of need in marketing. We need lawyers. We need people in finance, I mean, this is the first thing, right? Because sometimes we think, okay, what can I do? I'm a lawyer working full-time, 24 hours. So what can I do? There are plenty of opportunities. Then you go and search which ones are the most impactful, right? So there are plenty of options. Where is your passion? Your passion are manta rays. Yeah, you have NGOs like Manta Trust, right? Your view is a little bit broader. You go with Conservation International, TNZ, etc. Right? So in my case, what we are trying to do at the moment, as I mentioned, with the association that I founded in Rajampat a couple of years ago, now it's live, almost, it's already there. We're working a lot on from COVID. So we are probably going to start a crowdfunding for rangers, right? For example, illegal fishing is an issue that it's happening again. There are no boats, there is no tourism. So a lot of illegal fishing is coming back. So, and the government, unfortunately, is very limited in terms of resources to patrol the area. So we are trying to organize a team of rangers to really keep this area pristine, right? Because the work of 10, 12 years of conservation can be done in 2 months, right? If the illegal fishing comes back, it's going to be destroyed, right? So, I mean, this is work in progress. We are going to set up that. But I mean, there is always a lot of need of help, right? People with social media, people to really interested on help us to run this plan that I put together 2 years ago that is 6-7 points, very clear on what needs to be done. So be in touch with me. My email is available there. And we're always looking for people to work with us.
Excellent, excellent. Okay. And you now need to tell us, how do we get involved with you, or how do you recommend to people your ideas on how people can get involved wherever they are?
Right. So to me, is I always say, please bring me back to the water, and I bring the message back from the water. So I love collaborations, and that's the best way to have more voice, more spread the message. So I don't have my NGO and stuff, but please connect me to by email, @markifutaki.com, or Instagram, Facebook. I have all that. But in general, first, you have to love yourself, because if you cannot love yourself, how can you love others or things outside? And the only answer is within yourself. So first, I believe you have to feel within yourself. You must love and then be healthy and stuff like that. So yes, and then as we all know that we are not owner of this planet, and we all live all together. So we all live in harmony, and then let's see what we can do. And yes, I think love is everything. It sounds cheap, but yeah, that's all. And that's what I feel from underwater.
That's perfect. That's just, yeah, that's so beautiful. So that was our 3 big questions for our panelists today. We're going to have one quick short poll, because we are getting kind of low on time, and then we'll go straight to Q&A. So if we could get Carolina, let's see if anybody learned anything today. So that's where, for those people on Facebook, we're just asking if they learned anything. They've got a path to maybe get involved, and we'll pop that up, and then we'll have a little Q&A look and see. And I've actually asked Umbretta to kind of look at the questions for us. She's been trying to do that, I think, right? You're still muted. There we go. Oh, no, there. So we'll let you pick our questions for us if you can, Umbretta. You've been kind of watching that, I think. And Carolina, you want to post a poll? Go ahead, Umbretta.
So I only see here 3 questions, and I'm not sure if I have access to. Carolina will be able to maybe see more. I only see 3 here, so I'll ask her to confirm.
Okay.
But there is a question from Danielle for me, actually, saying, how do you bridge non-arts disciplines with your artist resident program? So should we wait just for the poll and then we
Yeah, well, if
can
she can put the poll up and you can go on and answer that question. I think,
Okay.
we'll see the poll and
Sure. So Danielle, what we do, depending on the specific project that the artist is embarking on and their interest and their research, I go and I kind of play matchmaker. So I find the specific kind of scientists or climate activists or climate communicators or marine expert that can help that artist to pursue that specific research. So for example, when we had Cecilia Tripp, her project was the Quarter Sonata. So what we did, we connected her with the coral restoration lab at the University of Miami, and we spent quite a bit of time with them really understanding about corals. Why are coral bleaching? Why are coral reefs dying off? And what is a restoration? How is it done? How effective it is? So it really is a bespoke program, meaning that we adapt our research and our MO to the specific approach of the artist. So it's not like a one-size-fits-all residency, but we go out and find the partners that can enable the artist to pursue their interest and the specific project that they're interested in working on during their time here and then in developing after they spend their residency here in Miami. And I hope this was helpful. If not, please feel free to email me. I'm happy to answer more in details if you have more detailed questions.
perfect. All right. Well, let's see. What was our other question?
So there's a
Jose.
question from Jose, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Jose, go ahead, Umbretta.
So Jose, Paulina is asking, what has impacted you from living in Hong Kong that triggered your decision to move from a banking career to a conservation path? And you may have answered this partly, but please go ahead, take it.
Yeah, yes, thank you, Umbretta. Yeah, part of it was, as I said, the contrast that you can see here, right, in a city like Hong Kong, where you have luxury, where you have growth, where everything is booming, the life is so fast. And on the other side of the coin, you have the nature going down, right? So a lot of animal trafficking, a lot of pollution, a lot of use of plastic, right? Someone who was very inspiring for me, and I think George, you probably know her very well, was Sylvia Earle from Blue Mission, right? To see like, okay, and it's changing a little bit the message from being angry and posting in Facebook how everything is being destroyed, how everything is going under the water, right? And there is hope. I mean, we can really do a change, even if it's small. And I found that the ocean for me was the most appealing one, because I'm a diver. I can see animals like a manta or a shark, that if we don't take care of that now, I'm pretty sure that next generations are not going to be able to see them, right? So this contrast of economic boom and growth and everything, wow, luxury, combined with the destruction of the nature and the ocean, made me think, okay, I think it's time. I need to do like an urgent change in my life to try to leave a little bit, even if it's a little contribution, that'll be enough, a little legacy for future generations.
Perfect. That's great. Well, we're really close to we're a couple of minutes over time. Unfortunately, or unfortunately, we can't get to any other questions right now with the timing issue. Again, we want to thank the organizers. We want to thank Carolina for being in the back room there with us, the sponsors of the Global Summit. And, you know, there's another summit webinar session coming up. Umbretta, is it like July 24th or something? There's another, and they're coming up. A whole series is coming.
I believe so, but I would encourage everybody to go to the theglobalsummit.org, and maybe Carolina, you can put that in the chat. And on that website, you can see all the information about the upcoming programming, the next webinars, and the very full week that we're going to have in August around the different topics that the Global Summit is tackling.
Yep. So everybody stay tuned for there's more of this kind of things. And I don't know if Carolina might be able to find poll number 4. That's the question I really wanted to see if anybody learned anything while I'm just kind of making some wrapping up. So I hope the audience got the message. Wide range of age groups, wide range of backgrounds. Some of them had nothing. Mine was biochemistry in a hospital laboratory. You know, I was doing Abbott Laboratories. I worked for them for 6 years. That equipment you've actually heard about with Corona. I was the 6th person hired at Abbott. There's now like 5,000 or 6,000 in that one division. It's a big company, but just that one division doing diagnostics. That's how I got to Australia. Putting in these chemistry and teaching other biochemists how to use this state-of-the-art equipment. And that's what got me there and got me exposed to the Great Barrier Reef, and the rest is history. So wide diversity of age groups, cultures, you've heard it all. There's a place for you. I assure you, we need every kind of skill set you could possibly think of for the ocean. We all participated ignorantly. We didn't know we were, you know, that using a straw or a plastic bag or a single-use plastic bottle or driving our cars might kill us someday. Nobody knew that. Now we know, as Sylvia says, now that we know what we know, no blue, no green. So we kill the ocean. It's not going to be a fun planet to be on at all. So I hope you did learn it. I guess she wasn't able to find that last poll and get it up, but that's okay. We hope you did learn something. Thank you for being here. Panelists, you're great. I honor you. So well, there we go. Let's see. Yeah, did you learn anything today? If we can get everybody, if there's a few people left still, let's at least get that. If we inspired anybody, because that was certainly the hope for the Global Summit people to invite us here to be this panel, and certainly all of our hopes to have people join us. We know the excitement, we're not doing it for the joy, but I assure you there's a lot of joy and reward that you feel out of this experience. Carolina, can you put the poll results up for us, and then we'll end this poll and invite, look at that. Wow.
Yay.
80% of the people learned something. So honor to everybody. You did a great job. I can't wait to follow each one of you. I hope the audience follows you. And Carolina has put in our chat box the little brief bios and some links to Facebook or email or LinkedIn. So you have the ability to reach out, contact any one of us. If you can't figure out a way to get plugged in wherever you are on the planet, and you know you want to get in the ocean, you get my contact there, keep it, get to me. I'll find you someplace on the planet. I got 1,500 NGOs at the UN. I'll get you plugged in. So honor to everybody for being here. And we'll just let Carolina shut us down. Oh, well, actually, well, that's all right. What? No, we got a minute. Anybody want any takeaway? Delaney, you got a takeaway? 1 minute, 30-second takeaway.
Sure. My takeaway would be 2 really quick things. So first, I would say do whatever possible to cut back on your carbon footprint, because that is the most impactful thing that you can do to help our planet, whether it's doing something simple like walking or biking to work or the local grocery store, wherever you're going, something simple like that, carpooling, or investing in sustainable energies, whether it's solar power, wind power, hydropower, whatever is best for your region. That's number one. And number two, I would say, I'm going to reiterate what I said before. Find your voice, find your passion. Don't be afraid to use it. Don't be afraid to work with local politicians. They will listen to you. Even if you don't yet have a vote in your community, you can absolutely have a voice and make a difference. So please don't be afraid to get out into your community and put your ideas out there for people to listen to, because I guarantee you other people feel the exact same way that you do, and working together we can make an enormous difference for our world and our environment.
Perfect. You got a 1 minute takeaway for us?
One word, be happy. Yay.
All right. Be happy. Umbretta, how about you? 1 minute, 30-second takeaway?
Yes, I want to make sure everybody knows you have 3 superpowers. You have the power of your voice, as Delaney said eloquently. Talk to your friends, your family, let them know about these issues and let them know about what they can do to make things better. Power of your wallet. Make sure you know what you're buying. Really think about supporting businesses that are sustainable. Buy local when it comes to groceries. Help the farmers in your area. And third, and maybe the most important, the power of your vote. Vote, make sure that you understand who are the legislators that are in line with your policies that are really about helping us with the climate issues that we're facing. And if you can't vote, get your friends and your families to vote for the candidates that are in line with your values. And that I could not stress that's so important. Please, please go out and vote. Perfect.
You actually stole mine. See, vote with your dollars, vote with your mind, your conscience. So Jose, wrap us up. Give us your 1 minute takeaway.
Yeah, thank you, George. I would just keep it simple. I would say just do the homework. Start small. See where every single thing that you do every day, your habits. What do you eat? What do you buy? What do you don't eat? If you're investing in the stock market, see which companies are responsible. So everything that we do has a small impact into all this whole impact on the climate change. So there are 2 key things. Awareness. I think a lot of, for example, beach cleaning, that probably you are not going to clean the ocean, but you are going to, by example, a lot of people are going to follow, and probably next time are not going to buy a plastic bottle, right? Awareness and then action, right? So awareness, I think we're all there. We know pretty well what we shouldn't do. And then it's action. Get involved in your community, see what is available. I think it's not too late. When people say, oh, it's too late, why to bother? It's not late. It's probably the last chance that we have. And now with COVID, it's a last wake-up call. Do something, start moving. Don't wait for somebody else to solve it.
There you go. Perfect. That was great. So yeah, the other thing I would have said is, leading by example. So that's 3 things. They vote with your dollars, vote with your mind and heart, do your research, and lead by example, getting involved. So thank you everybody for being here. Honor to everyone that was here today in whatever aspect you were here. Let's go out and be game changers. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for attending us.